Here are 5 characteristics that are going to help you make more money. Okay, the first one, persistence. Basically a no brainer. But the problem is, people still don't do it. They don't have the persistence necessary. Business can be a really difficult game depending on the industry that you're in, etc. And it's probably going to be difficult, period, because it's you're competing against everybody else. And the marketplace can be brutal. And if you don't have a degree of persistence, if you can't push through to get to the other side of whatever big hurdle, it's going to be very difficult to make it. Now, the next characteristic, and this is one of my favorite, obsession. Obsession. The problem with so many people, if you want to make more money, you have to be obsessed. And there's this idea out there in society and culture that you should just follow your passion. You should find your passion. You should just be so passionate. I'm really passionate about this. I remember talking to a guy a few years ago, and he was like, yeah, I'm in HR, and I'm really passionate about my job. And that's great. He was really convinced on it. But he also worked like 16 hours a day, didn't really have any sort of family life or at-home life. And he was just like, oh, yeah, but I'm really passionate. No, if you want to make a lot of money, you have to get obsessed, because obsession leads to skill sets. It leads to command or mastery. And that's what it takes. It takes a degree of mastery to be able to do something big. And that's part of, making more money. You've got to have skill sets. You've got to have the characteristics that allow you to build those skill sets so that you can separate yourself from the market and get an outsized result. Now, the next thing that you're going to need, the third characteristic that will help you make more money, is flexibility. You've got to stay flexible in your approach, because you can have persistence, but if you continually try to beat down a door, but you're not noticing what's working or not working, and you just stay persistent on it, you have to know when to push and when to pull. And you also have to know when to pivot. So you have to maintain the goal. You have to maintain a vision, but you have to stay flexible in your approach. See, in my business, I have certain times where I think, oh, I'm going to do things this way. And then I realize that I need to take a different approach. So the idea, the goal is there. I have a big vision for where I'm heading, but I've got to stay flexible in that approach. And if I don't stay flexible in that approach, then I'm going to keep banging my head against the wall, and I'm going to spend valuable time, energy, money, resources on something that's not working. So you have to know and recognize what's working, what's not working. Because you can be obsessed with a topic, but if there's no market there, if there's no way to add value, then ultimately it's not going to help you make more money. Now, the truth is, you can find many markets that you can go in, and if you have a degree of obsession, you can change them. Saturated markets are great in a certain sense. Like, let's think about Tom Bilyeu, right? There were a million different protein bars already before he started Quest Nutrition. But he refined what they did. They innovated into something new. They innovated something that wasn't there. So another good one is Peloton, right? Peloton noticed, hey, cycling is big, but cycling been around for what, 50 years or something? Probably more. A long time. But they innovated and they were flexible in their approach, while also saying, we want to innovate this area of the market. So they had a big goal, they had a big vision, but they stayed flexible in their approach. I hope this is making sense. Now, the next characteristic, the fourth characteristic that's going to help you make more money, decisiveness. Because ultimately, the only wrong decision is to stay in indecision. And that's where so many people are. But if you want to go out there and you want to attack, then you have to be decisive. You've got to make decisions hard and fast. I saw a thing with Jeff Bezos, and he talked about how they made decisions that cost them millions of dollars, probably billions at this point, but they made them hard and fast. And he also tells the story of how without that fast decision making and the ability to pivot the way that they did, they probably would have never made it through those first startup years, because you had the dot-com crash, and then you had the second crash, and what was it, like 2001, a little bit, and it was tough. It was tough for tech companies then, but it was that decisiveness, that willingness to pivot that ultimately saved them. So I think one of the ways that they saved their business was they had this massive infrastructure, but with the dot-com bust, that they realized that things were going to move to the cloud. And so they built out AWS, Amazon Web Services. Now, I heard something that says something like 70% of the internet or something is on AWS. And so a lot of people think of them as, Amazon shipped to your home, but they're really like a logistical company and a tech software company. And they've got a lot of revenue that come through those channels that you may not know about. You may not actually understand. And so the whole reason that we know about Amazon is because Jeff Bezos was willing to be decisive. Now, there's a point to it as well, because you can say, well, hey, Warren Buffett, he doesn't make very many decisions. He only makes certain bets, and that's the truth. But he's incredibly decisive. Because they look at thousands of companies. When they go through and they say, okay, this company is not right, boom, write it off. This company's not right, boom. Okay, this company looks like it could be, let's dive deep. But when he bets heavily because he feels confident in that decisiveness. So if you want to make more money, you've got to learn to be decisive. And even if you make the wrong decision, you can just make a new decision. And that's the great thing. But if you're stuck in indecision, it's going to hold you back. And the last characteristic, the fifth characteristic that is going to make you more money is willingness. And this is different than persistence. This is different than obsession. Because willingness doesn't ever really matter when you're willing, does it? Like if you're willing to go to the gym, it doesn't really matter. If you're willing to do the dishes, it doesn't matter. Willingness only matters when you're unwilling, when you don't want to do it, when it seems the cards are stacked against you, or whatever it may be. You have to have willingness, and willingness only or mostly matters when you're unwilling. And some days I feel unwilling to wake up and go to battle in my business. I feel an unwillingness to maybe call people or, take a call or hop on a coaching call, but I still do it. I feel unwilling at times to get a workout in or to hit the gym, but I still do it. And it's that willingness when you're unwilling that matters the most. So guys, those are 5 characteristics that are going to help you make more money. Let's go through them once again. Persistence. You got to have persistence. You got to have obsession. You've got to stay flexible in your approach, right? You've got to be decisive. And then lastly, you have to have willingness. That's not an exhaustive list of all the characteristics, but if you take those and you implement them, I guarantee you it's going to help make you more money. Guys, by the way, if you don't know who I am, I don't like long intros and videos. I'm Kalen Compass. I'm a business owner. I'm also an author. This is my book right here. I'll put something else out in the video. If you want a free copy, or I might actually take the free copy down. So if you want a copy, I'll put a link down in the description. This book is only for men. I've also had a bunch of women read it and tell me they loved it. And so they've gotten a lot of value from it as well. So if you would like a copy, just click down there. Otherwise, hope this video hopes it helps you make more money. And as always, guys, be great.